Stay tuned for Wrestling with Computers. We're talking technology, so go boot up your computer and start taking notes. Wrestling with Computers. I'm Wrestling Brewster from Brewster PC Solutions, your host. Due to the recent developments at Target, we're going to continue talking about security. We're going to talk about different securities. One of the big differences is there's actual security, that it's actual a physical or software security, and there's what I call uncommon sense security. It's common sense, but it might not be common to some people because a lot of people do certain things that aren't really good for securing your technology. Let's start with the actual security. Number one, your antivirus. You have to have an antivirus software that takes care of your computer and takes care of your internet. One of the biggest things about that tube, that internet tube, is if you can get out, they can get in. So anywhere that you're on the internet, the only way to secure yourself 100% from the internet is to unplug that tube. Because as soon as that tube, that network cable or a router or a modem, all those things go out to the internet. But it's a two-way street because you're going out to get things, but there's also that opening whenever you get onto the internet. So you want to make sure that you have an antivirus. You want to pay for it. You want one of the big guys, the Symantec, the McAfee, the Trend Micro, those big guys. Because what they do is they monitor viruses. There's over 600 viruses per week that new people think up, these virus people. And they monitor those viruses, and they get the fixes, the patches or the things that plug the hole so they can't get into your computer. So they download the software. So you need to have one of those big boys as your antivirus. And you need to know what it is, because you need to pay attention to those pop-ups. Now, the reason you want to know what your antivirus is because the pop-ups, for example, Norton will have a pop-up and it'll have the little Norton logo, so you know when that pops up, it's from them. Some of the biggest viruses out there right now are spoof antiviruses. They say you have 6 million viruses, click here to get rid of them. Unless that has the logo of the antivirus that you are using, you don't want to go there, because as soon as you click that button, you've clicked a virus. So it will get you a virus. You want to make sure that you're secure on that first front, which is that antivirus on your computer. Another one is the anti-spyware. The difference between spyware and virus, I talked about it before, but just to review, is a virus you have to click on, and its main objective is to shut your computer down. Well, the spyware and malware, I'll group those in together, they're more to collect information. Really innocuous stuff collects information about where you go on the web. So if you go to a sports site, it says Ken Bukes likes sports. So it'll take that information, send it to a site that'll send you email and spam about sports. Really, really bad malware can register keystrokes off your keyboard. So when you go to your bank account, it registers those numbers that you put in. Registers the username, password, and secure numbers that you don't want anybody else to get. So the antivirus softwares out there are really good at blocking viruses. They're not really great at matching malware. Really great software out there called Malwarebytes is a really good software that will find malware on your computer and take care of it. It goes through, scans your system, finds the malware, and will fix it or remove it, or tell you that you can't remove it, you need to manually remove it. Malwarebytes is a free software, but it has a paid contingent. So you can add the actual software to your computer. So when you boot up and you see your antivirus comes up during startup, well, the Malwarebytes at the paid version comes up as well and monitors. It's really great because it's monitoring all the time instead of just scanning. You can go to a website and it'll say, this website is trying to attack you, and stop it. So you have to pay attention to those things. Now, another part of the hard part of security is called a firewall. Firewall is basically a traffic cop. It's there sits there and says, stop, you can't come in. You can come in and you can get that information, but you can't come in. Most of your antivirus comes with a suite which has a firewall in it. So it's configured to let certain things in and let other things not come in. Bigger corporations or bigger companies have a hardware firewall, which is basically, it goes in between the router and the internet. So, for example, the tube comes into your Comcast modem, and then from there it goes to the hardware, which is a firewall. So that firewall is a really big cop. It's like having the entire police department. It's sitting there monitoring every single data that goes in and out, because one of the things that a virus will do is a virus can attach to your mail program and will start sending email out through a different port than it's supposed to. So that firewall monitors that stuff. These are just some of the things that you need to have. Another part that I see, a lot of clients have a wireless that's not secure. You want to have it either WEP or WPS security. Those are some of the big encryptions. So basically, when you go onto your wireless, when you look for it, it'll have a little lock next to it saying that this is secure. Otherwise, anybody can drive by and they can get onto your wireless. So it's not secure. You want to make sure that everything's secure as you're going down the line. One of the very simple things that you can do is you can put a password on your computer. A lot of homeowners, like general homeowner computers, don't have a password on them at all. So that means that anybody can, it's just one more layer of security. So you want to have a password on your computer. You also want to have different profiles, one for you and one for your children. I'll talk a little bit more about parental controls and parental security later on, but those are some of the things that you want to do to secure your physical computer. You want to make sure that you have all the antivirus and anti-spyware, and you want to make sure that you have all of those things in place, and you want to have a firewall. You want to have your wireless secured. So right down the line, from the point that it comes in, that tube comes in, you have a firewall. So that firewall keeps everybody out. Then from there, you have the antivirus, so that if anything looks suspicious, it takes that and blocks it. And then you have a password on your computer, so if someone tries to hack in, gets through all that other security, that they have to go through that extra layer. And finally, you want to encrypt your data. The most important data needs to be a little more secure. It's a little added security, so that if someone, for example, steals your computer, your laptop in an airport or something, then that data needs a password. Basically, encryption means that you can't get into it without the password or the de-encryption stuff to get into that. When you're sending something from one computer to another through the email, well, a lot of people will use WinZip, which is a program that basically compresses that data so it's smaller so you can send in the email. Well, WinZip has a component in it which will let you encrypt it. So when you send that, you let the person on the other end know how to get to that, what password to use to get to that data. So it lets you in to do that. This is all security that you can put in place. Now, one of the biggest things that I say to my clients is you can't save yourself from yourself. There's no amount of antivirus, security, or any other stuff that you can put on your computer that's going to save you from you. Because when you go to a website or you do something that's not up to good security, and you click on something, that immediately tells the antivirus, the anti-spyware, the firewall, oh, user XYZ feels this is secure. Go ahead and go there. Well, you want to learn a little bit. You want to train and educate, especially if you have employees, because you'll have probably, 20 employees working on the web. Well, if they're not secure, there's your loose link. So you want to always make sure that every link in your security is up to date. And if I didn't say it before, all your antivirus, spyware, firewall, all that stuff has to be updated. You're only as good as your last update. Like I said, there's over 600 viruses, over 1,000 viruses every week popping up. So when you get those updates from Symantec, or you get an update from Microsoft, well, all of those are patches, and all of those are finding ways that secure your computer. We're talking, there's a lot of discussion right now about XP, the operating system XP, going away in the spring, in April. Well, a lot of people have talked to me and says, yeah, but why do I care? I'm not going to get any more updates from Microsoft. Well, if you're not getting the updates, you're not getting those patches. So before, yeah, there were some holes in the operating system. Microsoft was sending out these updates the first Tuesday of every month that was plugging those holes. Well, now in April, they're not going to be plugging those holes anymore. So not only are there holes, and not only does everybody know about it, but they're not plugging them. So if you lose a little common sense and you think like the people who make the viruses and the hackers that try to get into your computer, well, gee, here's an unsupported operating system that I can now get into. So it's important to know these things and be a little ahead of the curve when it comes to technology. Well, let's get a little bit into the uncommon sense, as I called it. Again, if you can get out, they can get in. That tube is a two-way street. So as soon as you open up the internet, then you're opening up a two-way street. You really need to realize that it's a two-way street. A couple things that you want to be aware of is if you go on the internet and you leave, I can't tell you how many of my clients, I come to their computer to do some work, and they've got like 15 websites open. And I'm like, well, when's the last time, when did you open these? Oh, yesterday. Well, you've basically created this two-way tube and left it on for 24 hours or however. You want to close anything that accesses the internet. So that's your Internet Explorer, your browser. That's any games that go out to the internet so you can do dual playing with somebody at another computer. So you want to close those every time you're done. If you're leaving the computer, if you're going to go have lunch, if you're done for the day, or you're just done for an hour, close all the applications. Close the internet. That's just waiting for someone to hack into it. You also want to be aware when you're on the web. You want to be aware of where you're surfing. When you click on a website, you want to look at it and say, is this secure? Every single website, you want to look at that and say, is it secure? Should I be going here? A couple things to look for. If you look up in the address bar, there's a difference between HTTP //www whatever and HTTPS //. The S in HTTPS is secure. So that site is more secure than the HTTP site. If you look next time you're on the internet and you look at that website email and the address at the top at the address bar where the www is, before that you'll see the HTTP. So that's something to look for. Another thing to look for is a lot of sites will say secured by Symantec, secured by McAfee. These are extra security that website has paid for and brought in so that it's more secure than a site that isn't secure. So that if a site is taking money, you want to look for those things. You want to make sure it's secure. Before you take that credit card and say, I want to buy that WYSIWYG thing, you want to make sure that it's not going to cost you more than the cost of that thing, that someone isn't going to hack your credit card information. So a couple other things. One of the parts of the Norton security suites is a web security. And what happens is when you install that security suite, it secures a web security, which you can turn off. But when you go to Google, for example, if you Google something, every site that comes up has a little Symantec logo saying, this is a secure site. Symantec knows this is a secure site. This is not a secure site. This we don't know about. So you want to look for those things while you're on the web. You also, when you're on the web and you're buying something on the web, you want to be able to get back to those people if there's a problem. If the stuff that you bought wasn't correct, or if you don't believe that they're real. If they don't have a phone number or at least an email address, there's no way of contacting those people. That's a red flag right there. Don't do anything on a site unless you can contact them. Specifically, you want a phone number. There's some sites that don't have phone numbers that are iffy. But if they've got a phone number, call them up before you give them. If you've never, it's not reputable like Amazon.com, call them up and say, look, I'm trying to order something, just want to make sure you were a viable site. They should be able to give you security, tell you whether they're secured by Symantec or McAfee or some other site. You want them to give you some sort of security that you're comfortable with. You also, you just need to be more aware while you're on the web. Because the web is, I tell my son all the time, it's when you're on the web, you're on the big wide world. It's the World Wide Web. So when you're on the web, you're not just talking to whoever you think you're talking to. There's so many facets and so many things that go on with the web that you have to be aware of. So that when you go out there, you got to be secure. As soon as you take that credit card out, you've got to find out if you're just talking to that website or you're talking to some guy in India that is going to take your information. Because as soon as that information is gone, you talk to Target. Target originally thought that it was 40 million people had gotten their information hacked. Now they're saying it's 70 million people. The amount of money that it's going to cost Target to take care of this problem, they have to offer and pay for financial monitoring for every single person. So that's 70,000 people. I know our bank was ahead of the game and said, we're just changing our credit cards, our card numbers. That's just something you need to look out for. Email. Email is the biggest way that viruses come into your computer. For you to get a virus, you really need to click on something. So you have to be very, very aware of attachments. If you get an attachment from somebody who has never sent you an attachment before and you're not even sure they have a computer, call them up. Say, hey, did you send me an attachment? One of the things that I hate is when people send you e-cards. E-cards are the biggest scam because I would say 90% of the time, it's not an e-card. It's somebody trying to get a virus into your computer. And it's all the good intentions, someone sending you an e-card. But those e-cards, the problem with e-cards is you're clicking on something to take you to another site, which is a link. So links in email, Outlook and Symantec, when you have like a Symantec product that's monitoring your email, well, a lot of times what they'll do is turn off links in certain emails. As soon as it goes into the junk email folder, all those links are turned off. So you can't get to those sites. You have to make sure that it's secure. Well, a lot of what you can do with certain antivirus suites, if they've got an email component, is you can right-click on an email and scan it. You can do that with any folder, but you can also do it with email. So you want to make sure that you scan that to make sure it's good. As soon as you have a problem, that's the time to call me. Because if you let it fester, it's going to get noodled into your computer. And there's new viruses out there that get actually into what's called the BIOS, the basic output input of system, which is in the actual hardware. You're going to have to trash that computer and get a new one. So it's really important that as soon as you think something's wrong, call me up. We'd be more than happy to come out and take a look at your computer, make sure it's secure, scan it for any viruses. But that's an important part of this is that, we all get bad stuff that comes in. We can have as much software as possible, but that stuff does come in, especially through email. So you have to be really vigilant about email. And if it's too good to be true, it is. If you get something, one of the other scams that's out there right now is somebody calling from some faraway country saying that I just got a whole bunch of money, but I have to get it out of the country. Please email me your information. Well, right there, you don't know who that is, so you don't want to send them any information. It's if you think it's hinky, then don't send it. I got an email from somebody wanting my PayPal information, and I said I'd send them a request for payment. So I sent them a request for payment, but it turned out to be a scam, and I sent the email to PayPal, and PayPal said, "Yep, that looks almost like our logo. This is a really good hack." So you have to be careful out there. Finally, let's talk about a little bit of parental control, because that's basically the biggest point of getting viruses and getting malware and getting problems on your computer. You really want to monitor what your kids are doing online, because, as I said, it's the World Wide Web for a reason, because you're not just turning on that computer and going to a game site and playing with your buddy from 2 doors down. There's so many people monitoring that site that when they monitor it, they're watching you and you're watching your children. So again, there's no amount of computer software or security software that's going to save you from your children. You've got to monitor yourself. You've got to be a parent. You've got to see what people are doing, your children are doing on those computers. One of the biggest things that you really need to do is you need to have that PC in the common area. You don't want it in the kids' room, because as soon as it's in the room, the door's closed, they're going to Instagram, they're going to Facebook, they're going to these sites. And they just had the Assistant Attorney General at my son's school talking about predators on the internet. They're there, they're dangerous, and they're giving information, they're getting information from your children. The AG talked about how there was this one child on the internet who had a picture on her Facebook page of her in her school uniform. Well, right there, the AG said they know where you go to school, they know your name, they can walk into that school and they can find you, and that's what you don't want. So you've got to monitor this. You got to make sure that PC's in the common area so you can monitor what they're doing. and you want to use some of the parental controls that come with a lot of the browsers, Internet Explorer, and you want to install some parental software. Symantec's got a great family software that basically it emails me anytime my son goes to a site that they don't feel is secure or they feel has a problem with it, and it says, Noah's gone to this site. Do you want to let him in? And I can go into the Norton site and say yes, or I don't do anything. It continues to block it, so he can't get into that site. So you want to monitor it, but you want to have this software which will help you, but you want to talk to your kids about the security on the computer. You want to talk to them about it. Tell them about the dangers of the internet. I'm continually talking to my son about the dangers of the internet, and he goes, yeah. Well, it's not yeah. It's like a door to the world. Dr. Maestes was on my show a couple years ago, and he talked about talking to his son, saying, you go on the internet, you're no longer sitting in your room, in your home. You're going out across the world. And we know there's a lot of bad stuff out there. It's a lot of bad people out there looking to hurt your children, get information, get your information, hack in somehow. So when you put it all together, it's a lot of what I call uncommon common sense that you really need to be vigilant about. As a parent, you got to watch out for your kids, and you've got to make sure that their internet experience is what it should be, not going out across the world, but talking, using it for information like it's supposed to be. Using it as a great educational tool, you still have to monitor that. And you have to monitor yourself. You have to continually say, gee, is this safe? Is this email safe? Is this site safe? Is my computer safe? Please call the office if you would like us to come over and give you a security audit to say, you really should put this on. You should put a better antivirus on. You should put a better software on to do a firewall. These are all things that we can help you with, and you can have a secure PC. But if you're thinking that you're not going to get hacked into, well, take a look at Target and Kohl's and the other big companies. They've got twice as much security as you do. So you want to be vigilant, you want to be careful, and you want to have knowledge. You want to educate yourself about what's out there and how to deal with it. So we've talked a lot about security. I hope you've gotten something out of it. And please don't stop thinking that technology is a bad thing. Go out there and use it, but use it safe. And please call the office at Brewster PC Solutions at 508-746-6423 or email me at wbrewster@brewsterpcsolutions.com. If you have any questions, comments, or any other things that you want, give us a call. We'd be more than happy to talk to you about technology. Until next time, keep using that computer.